Well, this is your every day. And we know she has probably neighbors' house. From God's the white one challenge. Maybe that's. And actually, when I say that came from.
That's the way I.
Service there. Her name. Yeah. That's what I.
We're going to start with the so don't share yet.
Don't share.
Yeah. Did you pop the Zoom?
You back up? Yes, I just joined.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for being here for our announcement on the new Lincoln County Animal Shelter. I'm Ken Lipp, the Public Information Officer for Lincoln County, and today I'm joined by Sheriff Curtis Landers, Animal Shelter Manager Sarah Weinveen, Commissioner Katie Jacobson, Commissioner Casey Miller, and the rest of our Animal Shelter Development Team. Before I turn it over to our speakers, please take this time to silence cell phones or devices. Please raise your hand and wait for it to be called on once the media briefing is over and we have time for questions. We'll be emailing a digital copy of this information that we're sharing to media members. If you don't already have some, there's a few packets right there. And now I'm going to turn it over to Sheriff Landers for his opening statement.
Thank you very much and good to see everyone here. Good afternoon. I am Sheriff Curtis Landers, and I'm happy that we can share some major updates today about the Lincoln County Animal Shelter. In a moment, the commissioners and our animal shelter manager will share some recent progress and next steps. But first, I'd like to acknowledge and thank everyone that has made this substantial project possible. Just some background, in 2019, our previous animal shelter building was condemned and our shelter moved into a temporary facility. During this time, the need for a robust team to plan, review, and steer the development of the new facility became clear. You can see from the list that the animal shelter development team was full of various stakeholders, volunteer organizations, and community members, including county administration and the board of commissioners, county council, sheriff's office staff, public works and facility management, planning department, surveyor's office. This team met weekly, providing countless hours and valuable feedback to best select a location to meet the vast needs of an animal shelter. One of our goals with this development team was to capture a wide variety of experience and local needs. To do this, we also included these members on our team from the assessor's office, the treasurer's office, finance department, and also various volunteers, community organizations, and partners such as the Animal Shelter Volunteers, Central Coast Humane Society, Friends of the Lincoln County Animals, Focus, community members and groups, veterinarian, including Dr. Hurdy, the city of Wellport, and Dan Cutter. And Dan did send a quick message because he was unable to be here. He said the Wellport community, along with the Wellport City Council, are extremely grateful for the selection of the Wellport site for the Lincoln County Animal Shelter. The Board of Commissioners and county staff have been incredibly gracious in working with and including the city in the process, and have made a wonderful choice for animals everywhere. The development team reviewed 20 sites throughout Lincoln County to find the best possible fit, including sites in Lincoln City, Newport, Toledo, South Beach, and Wellport. Although a location near Newport was previously identified, the selected shelter location in Wellport is a much better match for our facility needs and offers future opportunities for the animal shelter and our communities. Some criteria considered when selecting the final shelter location was access to internet, phone, water and sewer, being out of the tsunami inundation zone, meeting zoning requirements, and some price considerations. Through all this work, including facility needs, evaluations, and site assessments, I cannot thank our animal shelter development team and supporters enough. I'd like to thank the Dahl family, including Zach Dahl, for working with us on partitioning the land that they owned. That process alone has taken over 4 months, and we greatly appreciate his partnership and commitment to making the land available for our shelter. The Lincoln County Animal Shelter will soon have an improved and suitable facility to continue to serve our community. With that, I will hand it over to Commissioner Jacobson for an update on the location.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sheriff Landers. I am Commissioner Katie Jacobson. I'm really excited to be here today. I'm chair of the board for the Lincoln County Commissioners this year. The county's long-standing development plans for the Lincoln County Commons, including the previous site of the animal shelter, created a need for a new shelter relocation. Earlier today, we finalized the process for purchasing property on Southwest Dahl Avenue in Wellport for $175,000 for the new animal shelter facility. With this finalization, we will be withdrawing our application for the previously identified Newport location on the airport property. After community feedback, evaluations, and rigorous examinations, this team determined that the Wellport site is the best fit for the new animal shelter location. One of the benefits of the new site is having the space to expand if needs continue to grow. As Sheriff Landers mentioned, many sites were reviewed and evaluated by our team for suitability. After thoroughly assessing all available options, the 2-acre plot in Wellport was determined to be the best fit for our facility and animal needs. This site is located in the industrial area and has flat land to help kickstart the development of the facility. We would like to thank the Dahl family again for making this property available and working with us through the lengthy process of partitioning. We'd also like to thank the team members, community stakeholders, and other community members that guided this extensive project. I was very heavily involved in the site selection process in the very beginning, and then handed over the involvement and leadership to Commissioner Miller in January 2023 when he took office. We cannot both be in the room at the same time because this is not a public meeting. So I am going to step out and Commissioner Miller is going to step forward to give his statements and to work with the media on questions. Thank you very much.
YouTube is on a slight delay. I didn't get here, but I was watching it on YouTube. It sounds pretty good, you guys. Thank you. I am Commissioner Miller. And thank you, Commissioner Jacobson, and Ken and Curtis Landers as well, Sheriff Landers. I'm vice chair for the Board of Commissioners right now. And, we're really fortunate to have a robust animal shelter development team. I started attending those meetings soon after taking office, and I can tell you it's been all hands on deck. It's a beautiful thing to see us working together in this way to deliver essential services. And I think the community has decided that this is essential services. And after a rigorous evaluation, plenty of review on our end, we're really excited about the Wallport location. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. That's the way I see it. Having the location secured and the needs assessment for the animal shelter team. These are two vital parts for finalizing those architectural plans, collecting construction bids. When these things are completed, we'll be ready to open beginning in 2025. And I'll hand this over now to our animal shelter manager, Sarah Wyden. Thanks for being here today. Okay.
Thank you, Commissioner Miller. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Thank you, everyone, for everything. Honestly, I'm Sarah Winding. I am your Lincoln County Animal Shelter Manager. Our team and volunteers are so excited to be closer than ever to having a new and improved animal shelter facility. As you can imagine, operating a fully functional animal shelter out of a temporary facility that was not designed for such purposes has been challenging. Add to that a pandemic, a wildfire, and a pet overpopulation crisis, and you have a testament to the resiliency and dedication of your animal shelter team. We are so grateful to our team members and volunteers who continue to find creative solutions to navigate all sorts of unforeseen issues. This new location will impact those team members and our volunteers the most. This is the incredible team that shows up every day, 365 days a year, every holiday, through snowstorms, even when the power is out, to take care of the animals that are entrusted to our care. We are very excited to get back to providing the excellent level of service our community came to expect from their Lincoln County Animal Shelter. A purpose-built animal shelter, regardless of location, will give us the opportunity to do just that. For decades, Lincoln County community members have dedicated their time to make it to Newport for their adoption appointments, their pet license renewals, or to address other animal-related issues. We know our communities will continue to seek our services regardless of where our home base is. In addition to more opportunities for animal engagement and services in South County, our team will be providing innovative solutions to increase engagement throughout the entire county. We will continue to provide our online options for purchasing and renewing pet licenses, as well as our appointment-based services, which we offer 7 days a week to accommodate various schedules. We are excited to offer more online adoption processing options, and we very much look forward to reinstituting regular adoption outreach events throughout our entire county. Our team will continue to find creative ways to meet the needs of our community members, two and four-legged alike. And I'm going to turn it back over to Ken. Thank you.
Went off script last time and forgot my spot. Everybody else is stuck to the script, so I'm going to read it verbatim now. We will now be taking related questions from members of the media. Please raise your hand, wait to be called upon, then state your first and last name and the organization you represent.
Part of the News Times. What's the total cost projection for facilities, and not including, you already mentioned the land purchase?
I'm going to let the sheriff answer this.
Thank you. I kind of expect Trent Krim from the Independent, but I didn't get that. So if you're a Ted Lasso fan, you know what I'm talking about. If not, then it just went right over your head. Anyhow, we don't have the price nailed down yet because we have the site first. Once we get the site, then we'll be able to engage with the architect, redesign the building, fine tune those costs. But the county has set aside a large portion of money to be able to make this happen. And we believe it's going to be adequate based on estimates that our county administrator, Tim Johnson, has done. And we also know that from building estimates and other things that it will adequately provide the shelter we need. It also is going to be an opportunity, once the design is there, for people to open their pocketbooks for as far as donations, to maybe expand on what kind of services the public may be looking for and wanting in an animal shelter. We are, I don't want to call it basic services, but the building and things that we're doing is going to get you a functioning animal shelter. But there are a lot of other things that we can go and expand on if people want that and want to donate to the cause to make that happen. And that'll come down the road.
Well, you're not anticipating having to offer any kind of levy or anything like that.
That's correct. No, we are not. That's correct.
Kind of follow up that first Quentin Smith, News. So maybe Tim. He's still here.
He is.
You said set aside a good quantity, large quantity of money. Where does that come from and where is it? And where did you put aside?
The development package will probably be around $6 million. The county has, during the period of time of COVID, taken advantage of the low interest rates that have been heavily discounted for governmental agencies. And so we have a low interest loan at $4 million. We are using additionally another $1 million that has been approved with the order number by the Board of Commissioners for infrastructure, which is allowed under the American Rescue Plan Local Recovery Fund program that we have, because we will have to be engaging in that kind of activity at the site. And then we have set aside another $1 million for a total of about roughly $6 million for this. The issue that the county, as well as all local governments, are addressing right now is the amazing inflationary increases that have occurred in construction since COVID hit. And that has been something that has been difficult for me because, as you know, my experience is in development. And as such, I'm even taken back by the increasing costs that have occurred since I started on this project. Now, we've worked backwards, and our estimates are going to be somewhere between $500 to $600 a square foot. Estimating in the first iteration of this building, it will probably be around a 4,000 to 5,000 square foot facility, depending upon the cost of the tenant improvements that will be, as Sheriff Landers identified, provided to us. I hope in the near term, giving us a better indication of what that actual final cost will be.
Does anybody else have any questions? Here.
Carol Morgan with Oregon Coast Breaking News. Do you anticipate that the number of volunteers and staff are going to be able to remain the same in the South County versus Central?
It's probably a question for Scott.
Sure is. Thank you. Thank you, Kira. So at this point in time, we are not concerned with a loss of staff or volunteers. A lot of our most dedicated volunteers are already coming up from South County. And we have, again, in a facility that's working for us and not against us, we can start to expand our volunteer program back to what it used to be, the robust program that it used to be, so that all of our folks in North County, East County, wherever they are, we want to provide ways that they can help in where they are. So not necessarily having to come to the shelter. If they can, we love them for it. If they can't, we want to find ways that they can give back without making the drive.
So I don't know who would address this, but I just strictly from the logistics standpoint, you've got north end of the county that would have, around numbers 50-mile drive just to get there. And obviously you're transporting animals that far, there's nothing back. I mean, do you have any plan in place at this point as far as accommodating that kind of a distance for a significant population account?
Sure.
Try.
Steve, are you talking about what transporting are?
Well, if somebody has to, say the police are involved, take a pet or a car accident, that has to be transported to shelter, you're talking about 2 or 3 hours.
So, yeah, so our travel time for our animal services deputies in their
Or,
vehicle.
you know, same vein, and I know I'm kind of getting it broad, but, is there a way that you could set up any kind of satellite facility? So for example, if you had somebody that needed to surrender their cat and they can't get to law enforcement to do that, how to make that work?
Yeah, so to address the transportation, yeah, it's and someone who's worked for the sheriff's office a long time, not just transporting animals, but also transporting people around the county. Depending on where you're at, coming to the central hub is obviously, but there's always a travel time to be able to go somewhere. And I know that Newport's always been that hub of where we put all of our services or a large portion of our services. Frankly, I think it's great that we're expanding out to the South County and being able to provide some services down there from the county perspective as far as being able to do that. The drive time and calculation, you know, they can drive around with an animal for a while. It's not like immediate, they need to get right to the shelter. We can work with that. We'll be able to accommodate that. There may be times when it's going to maybe be a little bit longer drive, especially if coming from Lincoln City, but there's going to be other times if you pick up an animal in the Walport area where it's going to be actually a lot quicker. As far as outreach and services, I know that Sarah has been thinking a lot about this. There's nothing that's been completely identified and ironed out, but I know that is her plan eventually to do more outreach. We actually have a trailer that doesn't get used very much right now that we want to be able to send that out in the community once this new facility is up and functioning. The team over at the animal shelter really doesn't have the time based on the work they have to do in a temporary facility. They'll be more efficient down there and be able to provide that. And so I know that Sarah, and I don't know if you want to touch on anything, but just she's been going through a lot of thoughts and ideas on how we can improve the outreach around the county. And that's one thing, as she mentioned in her statement, that we plan to do.
Curtis, related to that, just a little bit of follow-up on the. And the news release said 18 sites, you said 20 sites that you looked at, but.
Yeah, it was 20. I think we plotted 18 or some that might have been close and overlapping. 20 that we really looked at. I mean, we had input from a lot of people, a lot of organizations that we would look at and cross off right away. So I would say it's actually much higher than 20, but there were a lot of sites that just for whatever reason didn't even get a great look at that we did. These were ones that we really physically went to.
What was the challenge in finding those sites on the coast? Challenging.
Yeah, very, very challenging to find, you know, what I have to identify as really the perfect site in Walport as far as what the ground looks like, the level. I mean, it's a great site, the cost, infrastructure, working with the city of Walport as far as what they're going to do, as far as their needs down in the industrial park area. That you can definitely reach out to the county or city manager, Dan Kelder, on that we're working with. There's a lot that we have down there that we couldn't find anywhere else. It's just a great site.
Curtis, the plans that being able to get on and off of the road, I mean, it was a.
Yeah, for example, like,
Highway 20
yeah.
would have been dangerous, it's all get out, you know?
Cost would extremely go up. There was a couple sites out off the Highway 20. Not to really get in the weeds of things, but that ODOT would require us to reconfigure the highway at, we'd put, $1 million in doing that instead of actually into the animal shelter.
Was one of the requirements that it be out of the surrounding zone?
Yes.
That was a requirement, not a.
Well, it was one of the requirements we made. I mean, I don't think there's anything written that we have to do that, but that, and that's for the animals and for the people. We don't want anybody going in, if we have the earthquake, to rescue the animals jeopardizing themselves, and we don't want animals to lose their life in it. So that's definitely a consideration we need to make for this. Because there's a lot of, after hours, the animals are at the animal shelter by themselves. So I could just see somebody wanting to go in and rescue them if they.
Okay, thank you. So just briefly, I want to take everybody back to before the end of 2019. Your animal shelter had a very robust volunteer program. We were doing regular adoption outreach. The trailer was making its way up to North County with adoptable animals. These are all things that we're not going to be reinventing the wheel. Right now, we're just in a tiny little manufactured home with prefabricated kennel buildings. We can't fit a lot of volunteers in there. We have 3 workstations and our 4 staff members. We can't, we don't have the opportunities for volunteers to do what they used to do for us. But we know that that they will come back when we have a facility that there's space for them and it's safe and more efficient for them to work in, then staff is spending less time just working around the building, hauling water. We won't have to haul water anymore, which will be wonderful. You know, these things that are taking up extra staff time purely because, again, it's not a purpose-built animal shelter. So when we can get back to a facility that is made to do what it needs it to do, we will have more time and opportunities to engage our volunteers and engage the community as a whole.
And so can you tell me a little bit about, if you have an idea of what the outline of the shelter is going to look like as far as space for dogs, cats?
Nothing right now.
Space for horses, that kind of thing?
There's no plans for livestock at this point in time.
So just cats, dogs?
Dogs, cats, and hopefully we will once again have places where we can safely and humanely house like pocket pets, things like that. Again, right now, there's nowhere to put a rabbit that there's not a dog or a cat nearby. So it's just not humane to do so. So yeah, we'll be back in the position we were in to be able to safely house dogs, cats, and hopefully pocket pets. But since I don't have the drawing in front of me, I can't tell you exactly what we're looking at.
So one of the things that you said with desirable about the site is the area that's would allow you to expand. What kind of things down the road in vision for an expansion?
Certainly, if we need to expand actual kennel space, which again, in the sheltering world, we're working to try to put ourselves out of business. We hope to never need as many kennels as we have, but I would love to be able to add a community room, a space that can generate revenue for the shelter by being able to rent it out to folks for events and trainings and things like that, and also give us a great space to work in for volunteer orientations, trainings. We'd love to host behavior trainings here. So a community room is definitely high on the list.
Is there anything, maybe that's a question for Ronald, but as far as committing for this property, or is it ready to go for the use as is?
Well, it's.
Would you please come on board? Thank you.
Thank you, Anna.
Let's go, let's take
Anno Husing, Planning Director. It's in the city of Waldport, right? So any direct questions about the development, but they were involved all along, right? So there was very much what Dan Cutter's statement was is very, very true. There was a lot of back and forth. But I don't think there are any problem. I mean, those are exactly all those kinds of things that we're factoring into the decision. Each one of these properties got run through the same process, the same considerations. They had to all compete. And I'm very proud that we treated each one of these proposals, because we got a lot from the community. Sort of people said, what about that, right? What about this? What about that? We treated each one of those very, very seriously. We put boots on the ground and we ran it all through the same filter. And some of them had some real merits to them. They scored high on one thing, right? But if you didn't meet all of the criteria, it was a deal killer, because each one of the criteria, right down to cost or safety or tsunami zone, it all really counted. And while I had the mic for a minute, I would like to say one or two things. Tim Johnson really deserves a tremendous amount of credit, because, and I recall I was not involved with the previous conversations about the animal shelter. I was blissfully uninvolved with that process. And one of the things that I really think is important, it should be underscored here, is that the community was upset with the choice. A lot of folks were upset with the choice of the airport, right? And I think and Tim and all the staff here and the commissioners in particular listened. I mean, they heard that loud and clear, and that was no fun, right? After all the work that went into all of that, we had to say, all right. But I think what's a critical thing to understand is that our commissioners listened to the community and completely started the process from square one, right? There was every place in the county was open for business in terms of us taking a hard look at it. And I think it did help that we had all the different skill sets. Your ability to understand economics and your ability to get stuff done on capital projects was very instrumental. So, like Commissioner Miller, you got to see the back half of that, and it was like each one of our conversations were extremely substantive. And I was very proud to be part of the process, and kind of glad I wasn't there for the early part of it. But once I was involved, it was, again, all the right people were in the room asking hard questions. After every meeting, we had everybody had their little homework tasks. Each one of us, you go figure that out. And so that's how that got done. He managed to leverage all of the talents and experience in the county. And I think one of the things that I really was so excited about with this choice is that, you know, this is really it's going to improve veterinary care in South County. That was something I think is an outstanding outcome here as well. That property in Wellport is a terribly important asset for the entire community because it's high and dry. It's within the city. We need to find ways to continue to get infrastructure up there, but this is a catalytic investment, and I think Tim, right, and Curtis, we saw that all along. That in addition to meeting and I love the mantra, it's all about the animals, right? That was our bumper sticker all the way through. It's all about the animals. And but at the same time, we were able to have these collateral tremendous opportunities. I think that's one of the reasons Wellport is so ecstatic about being chosen, is that it begins to leverage that amazing asset up there, all of that property. And so we're very, very excited about it, and I'm very, very pleased to have been part of it. You want me to?
I would say going to improve veterinary care in South County.
Sarah, why don't you, but I that was not my expertise, but since that was a regular theme, so I'll let others who understand that better.
So, yeah, so broadly, right now, again, it's another one of those things that we've been considering and working with Dr. Hurdy specifically, especially Dr. Hurdy went down and looked at the site. Again, this where it really comes back to once we get a drawing, a rendition of what the property is going to look like, and then what we can do with it, that we'll be able to maybe add a spay and neuter clinic to it. And that's where I believe Director Houston was going with that. Again, these are just really ideas, dreams, goals that we'd like to do. We know we won't be able to accomplish that. We don't think we'll be able to accomplish that with the funding that we have right now to build the animal shelter. Again, we want a functioning, good animal shelter, but these are things that we can add in the future. So we've been already in partnership working with the veterinarians to see how that can happen. And it could be a number of ways that we could go about it. We could bring in student vets, this type of thing. So Dr. Hurdy thought that this is a great goal or dream that we could be doing. And we want to pursue it because they don't have that in South County. And I know talking to, again, City Manager Dan Cutter, who is very much an animal lover, talked about the people that come in and talk about not having that care down there. Maybe this is something we can do, not just for the animals at the animal shelter, but the other animals of South County.
Person leveraging this. Just to, again, to add on, because my memory is getting jogged again, that the comment about improving veterinary care came from the veterinarian. Okay, so it wasn't like some of us saying, hey, maybe this does that. But I think one of the other great synergies is you got Wellport High School right there, that there could be internships and some of the students then, it's a short walking distance from them. So again, who knows what future veterinarians we may be creating here eventually with again, that close proximity and their involvement.
I think it goes to show you too, there's a lot of things that we've been thinking about, but we need to get an animal shelter built. And we know that's the first stage, but there's a lot of dreams and things and plans we'd like to see in the future. And I think we have the best site to be able to do that with.
One more thing, I don't would address it, but not being a construction guy whatsoever. The funding's secured, the land, the property site, the site is secured. Why are we looking at 2025 or if you maybe just give me a quick idea on the time frame and why?
So first of all, I didn't catch that in the before this was released. I would tell you that based upon the type of construction, we are probably looking at a 2024 summer, early fall occupation of the building. So hopefully that just, I noticed as I'm looking across the room at everybody, their angst has gone down, their blood pressure has dropped, and they're feeling very happy about the speed in which we will move. Let me give you an example of what we'll do here so that you understand it. So as we go through closing now, which will probably take somewhere around 30 to 45 days. Upon that process, as we start that, there are some planning issues that we have to address. One of those is an unconditional use, I believe. A conditional use, excuse me, that needs to go through.
What an unconditional.
Conditional approval, that's exactly right.
The city, we're not thinking that's an obstacle.
Ano, come here, please. You can't, you're on television, so you have to speak from the point.
Yeah, it's a conditional use process, just like in our industrial zones, an applicant needs to apply to the city. But again, I'm personally going to be writing up the application on behalf of Lincoln County. And one of the reasons I'm doing it is because, yes, I have some expertise, but I was also involved with the process. So like Curtis, everything we've been, and Tim, everything we've been doing already is just going to get shoved into, it's not going to be much of an exercise for me. And staff to staff, we're already having, very clear understanding with the city of Walport, what they want to see. And so there's not a real question mark with that. I think that's going to be probably one of the easiest things that we attend to is getting the conditional use permit.
Oh, I was just, sorry, the dates, I think we want to make sure that we are, that we meet our dates. So they're, what is it, under commit and over deliver, something like that?
You're a good coach
yes.
from like Pete Carroll.
Yes. So, all this process has taken time. We want to make sure we meet our timelines or ahead of timelines.
So let's give you a little bit more indication of how this then subsequently works. We have a few items to deal with on the land use issues. While we're dealing with those, we know that immediately we'll start with the architectural and engineering requirements that go along with this building. And one of the key elements that's associated with this building that a lot of people don't think about is you have to keep a clean facility. And one of the things that I immediately came across was trying to read what happened to the old facility. And cleanliness is very important. And in this particular case, we have to make sure that we have a building that has drainage in it because constant cleaning of these kennels and other areas is tantamount for the success of that. So it's going to require a variety of drainage systems necessary to support that. So that's going to take some time in the designing process to occur. Then when they get into the actual building, the next step that occurs is we'll be going out for bids. And this is one of the key issues, depending upon at the time of deployment for the bid. And we'll use all the appropriate requirements necessary to get the broadest range of builders to bid on this. But one of the things that we'll have to do is to ensure the fact that when we move forward with that, we have a timing. We believe that we can get a bid out and a bid package and a turnaround within 60 days. And at that particular point in time, they'll lock it in. We'll look at the bids and we'll get it taken care of. And then we'll move as quickly as we possibly can to implementation of construction. Construction on a building of this size should take no more than 6 months to complete, top to bottom. It could be, a concrete, brick, metal configuration. It could be a wood configuration with tile. There's all sorts of different elements that an architect, engineer, and subsequent builders will look at to present to us to get us to the best price on a deliverable product. So that's the next big hurdle. Now, I'm just going to share this with you. The last major construction project that this county undertook is right across the way here, and it's called the jail. So there isn't a whole lot of expertise internally here to get this done. So this is the reason why we have a matrix-based organization that has been created here to be able to take the best knowledge of this county staff and put it together. A good case in point, somebody asked, I'm not sure which one of you did, about livestock. I'm going to turn your attention to the redevelopment and renovation of the 4-H building at the fairgrounds and commons. Because gosh forbid if we have to address another issue of a wildfire, but we are getting prepared with a variety of new buildings going out at the commons that can be used for natural disasters to move livestock and other animals and put them in stables where they're going to be able to be taken care of and out of harm's way. That 4-H building is just being completed as we speak, should be done by the end of this month. And that has been a 4 to 5 month project and just shy of $300,000. I think we did a tremendous job on that redevelopment, under price, under budget, and under time. So I think that is a good indication of the expertise that this county has put together on a project. Now, I grant you, not to the level of sophistication of the HVAC systems, heating, ventilation, and air conditioning that are going to be required, and or the drainage systems that will be required of this animal shelter. But I think we have the expertise to be able to deliver that with the experts that we're hiring. So I hope that helps you understand, gives you a framework from which we're delivering. Ken, we want to close out here. Take questions from the audience.
So I want to take one question from somebody online we've got waiting.
So Ken, can you talk to Bill?
Are you still listening there online?
Yeah, Bill should be allowed to talk now.
He's unmuted himself. Bill, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, would you go ahead and introduce yourself and your organization, and then you can ask your question?
Sure. This is Bill Dalby with KYAQ. I saw that the Ways and Means Committee is currently considering, I think, about a $1.5 million, not sure of that amount, allocation to extend the sewer main out to the industrial park. Is that going to be a required part of siting the animal shelter there? Did you hear that?
Yes, we did. Hi, Bill.
Okay.
No, that is not part of it. I do know about that bill from Dan Cutter. It will improve the sewer system down in that area, but that's not a requirement that we have that bill pass in order to build the animal shelter. We have other considerations that we've already made for sewer and wastewater to be taken from that facility if that bill doesn't go through. If it does go through, we can use it. If not, we have other things we can do.
Okay. That answers my question. Thank you.
Bill, is that all the questions you have?
I just was, of course, I'm sure you're anticipating that people would be concerned about the increased distance to reach the animal shelter from North County and East County. And I understand that you don't have a lot of solid plans to address that in terms of outreach, but that's on the drawing board going forward. Is that a fair assessment? I just had this vision of a busload of dogs out on a day trip up to Lincoln City. Just sort of tickled my fancy, but I don't suppose that's really going to happen.
That's a fair assessment, Bill.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. Okay, well, if there's no more questions,
Bill, Arnold Husing here. The answer is yes, an awful lot of thought has been given into, and we talked about it earlier, Sarah, we've constantly during our meetings, what about North County? What about the fact that we're at South County, but so we doubled down about how to make sure that really people in North County, East County are not going to feel a difference in service. If anything, they're going to have an enhanced service when it's all said and done.
Okay, good to hear.
thanks, Anna. So thanks so much for joining us today. We're grateful for all of the hard work and support on this project from our team, community members, stakeholders in the community. For more information and updates on progress, please continue to refer to the county website at www.co.lincoln.orus. Follow the Lincoln County Sheriff's Office Facebook page at facebook.com/Lincoln County Sheriff, or reach out to our team. This concludes our announcement today.